Understanding the Bible Radio. Ron Saxon here. I want to thank you guys for joining me for another live study. That's right, First Kings Part 2. Going in, starting at chapter 3. Going to go in all the way to the end of chapter 7, and we're going to come back right after this with part 2. Yeah. Listen. You got to listen. Yeah. You're going to get it. Going in to see exactly what happened. First Kings. We're going through all of the Old New Testament. I mean the Old Testament. Old New Testament. We're going through all of it to see exactly what happened in regards to the scripture. That's what we're doing. Period. Yeah. We got to see it. We got to study it. Because I was lazy and didn't want to study. But now I see it's very beneficial. Knowledge. Getting the true facts of what happened. No tithing, no seed sowing here, no products sold, no DVDs, CDs, MP3s, clothes, hats, books, nothing. Memberships, it's all
is in-depth study of
free.
The Christ, the propitiation, the begotten Son, the Law, the Judge, the Ruler, the Standard, the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, the One,
the way,
the true Jesus Christ.
The life.
Here on Understanding the Bible Radio, On-Screen Study, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, On-Screen Undeniable Facts of Scripture.
That's right, Understanding the Bible Radio, live discussion, live definitions of Scripture right here on Understanding the Bible Radio. That's right. That's what we do here. That's what we show live. So you know the true facts. Confused, deceived, you can find out. If, in fact, you would just study. Just study. That's all you have to do. So that's what we're doing. That's what we do here at Understanding the Bible Radio, working our way up to 1,200 studies if we haven't hit it already. I didn't check it, but you know how that can be. Going into First Kings, starting at chapter 3. 3, okay? Because I got to get the corrections done. The other video showed Second Kings when it was supposed to be First Kings. Sorry about that. But anyway, here we go. We're going through. Now, and Solomon made affinity, what is that? With Pharaoh's king of Egypt. Solomon dealt with Pharaoh in Egypt. See that? We didn't ever hear about that. And took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had made an end of building his own house and the house of the Lord and the house of the Lord. See that? And the wall of Jerusalem around about, which is what I'm sure that wailing wall that we have now over there in Jerusalem is part of Solomon's temple. That's what this is. Good deal. I would understand. That's what I understand. What is this made affinity? Let's see what this is. Must have been something good because he married Pharaoh's daughter, who is not an Israelite.
Strong's H 2859. Chathan.
And we gotta also see that. Where are we, Kings? Let's go to search our Kings. Also see that he was not supposed to do that based on the law of God. But, you know, as we saw, oh, it's the Chaldee showing up now. It wasn't the Browns drivers Briggs. Wow, I wonder why. Oh, okay, so they're showing both entries. Good deal. Right there, look at that. Okay, to give one's daughter in marriage. It's in the Gesenius Hebrew. I'm glad they added both so we can see both parts and we can see any differences in the lexicon, Hebrew lexicons. I wonder if they did it with the Greek. I'm going to have to check it out during the break. A father-in-law, the wife's father, a husband's father is called this Hebrew term here, right here, all right, who gives his daughter in marriage, the father-in-law, okay, of Moses, Exodus 18, a reference there for the Chaldee Hebrew. You can read the full entry by clicking here, and then you can go down and see it here. So let's see if we can do some comparison while we have it, which is a good deal. And let's see here, show all in the Browns drivers, and we got the Gesenius screen print showing also in the lexicon, which is a definition to help you understand the Hebrew definition in our language, which also shows the Hebrew words there also. So let's search out our kings and get there. There it is, right there. So let's see. To make oneself a daughter's husband, okay, basically, is what we see there. Okay, got the grammar and the references to the other language, Aramaic, as you can see, which is a form of Hebrew, ancient Hebrew. Okay, good deal. Got it? Good deal. So let's see here. Let's go down here to, where's the Gesenius at? I thought I saw it there. It's right there. The good deal. Right in there. Let's see. I can't search that, so we got to look through it. It's called study. Be diligent. Be diligent. You know, you got to look through. There it is, right there. Right there. To join affinity, followed by, we can go to the Webster's too to see what Webster's had to say in the 1800s also. To give a daughters in marriage to one another. They agree. These lexicons agree. All right. The relation contracted by marriage between a husband and his wife's kindred, and between a wife and her husband's kindred in contradistinction from consanguity. Consanguity. I can't say it. Consanguity. That's the first time I probably ever read that in my life. Or relation by blood. Okay. Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh. See, that's where we are. Boom. Okay. Good deal. So we did a little study there. I got it. Okay. Good deal. All right. Only the people, this is verse 2 right there. Only the people sacrificed. Only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord unto those days. Solomon built the temple. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David, his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, ask what I shall give thee. So God still, even though he married a non-Hebrew woman, he still honored him, because Solomon honored him, as you can see by the last few verses we just read. He says, ask what I shall give thee. Now, if God came to you and asked, what would you answer? That's a good question. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept him from this great kindness. Yeah, to ask, what do you want, David? So he's asking Solomon. That thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David, my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in thine midst of thine people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding of heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad, for who is able to judge this thy so great a people? He sees the responsibility. He sees it there, which is a good deal. It's a good deal. Post up your comments. Don't hesitate to post them up. Okay? And the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, thou hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee. This is what God is saying. thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor. He's adding to him, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings and offered peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king, and stood before him. And one woman said, O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the 3rd day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also, and we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we 2 in the house. And this woman's child died in the night, because she overlaid it. She laid on top of it and smothered it. And she arose at midnight, and took my son from beside me, while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. Switched at birth. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. And when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. Then said the king the one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is dead. And the other saith, Nay, but thy son is dead, and my son is the living. He's understanding just repeating back to him what they're saying. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in 2, and give half to one and half to the other. I wonder how he was going to do it. Was it straight across the belly, or was it straight down from the head all the way down to each one of them get half? Ooh, that's nasty. Then spake the woman, whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it. Woo, that's mean. That's mean for her to say that about the kid. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. The one that said, Give her to the other woman. Don't kill the child, don't hurt it. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do judgment. He gave it to him. The Lord gave it to him, as he's asked him, Give me understanding to judge thy people. And there it is. That's the true deal of it. There's the true deal. Chapter 4, we're going through. So King Solomon was king over all Israel, and these were the princes which he had. That's I want to say Azariah. I want to say Azariah, the son of Zadok the priest, Elihoreth, and Ahiah. I want to say the sons of Shisha, scribes, Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, the recorder, and Benaiah, I want to say, the son of Jehodiah, was over the host, and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests. And Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over the officers, and Zabud, the son of Nathan, was principal officer and the king's friend. And Ahishar was over the household, and Adoniram, the son of Abda, was over the tribute. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision. And these are their names: the son of Hur in Mount Ephraim, and the son of Deker in Machaz, and in Shalbim, and Beth Shemesh, and Elon Beth-Hanan, the son of Hesed in Aruboth. To him pertained Soko, and all the land of Hepher. The son of Abinadab in the region of Dor, which had Taphath, the daughter of Solomon, to wife. Baana, the son of Ahulad, to him pertained Tanakh and Megiddo, and all Beth Shean, which is by Zartanah, beneath Jezreel, from Beth Shean, and Abel Maholah, even unto the place that is beyond Jokneam. I hope I'm doing this right, saying that stuff right. The son of Geber in Ramoth Gilead, to him pertain the towns of Jair, the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead. To him also pertain the region of Argob, which is in Bashan, 80 great cities with walls and brazen bars. Ahinadab, the son of Iddu, had Mahanaim. Ahimaaz was in Naphtali. He also took Basmath, the daughter of Solomon, to wife. Baana, the son of Hushai, one of them, was in Asher and in Aloth. Jehoshaphat, the son of Parua, in Issachar. Shimei, the son of Elah, in Benjamin. Geber, the son of Uri, was in the country of Gilead, in the country of Sihon, Sihon, king of the Amorites, and of Og, king of Bashan, and he was the only officer which was in the land. Judah and Israel were many, as the sand which is by the sea, in multitude, eating and drinking and making merry. And Solomon reigned over all kingdoms from the river unto the land of the Philistines, and unto the border of Egypt. They brought presents and served Solomon all the days of his life. And Solomon's provision for one day was 30 measures of fine flour, and 80 measures of meal, 10 fat oxen and 20 oxen out of the pastures, and 100 sheep, beside harts and roebucks, and fallow deer, and fatted fowl. For he had dominion over all the region on this side of the river, from Tifsah, even to Azza, over all the kings on the side of the river, and he had peace on all sides round about him. And Judah and Israel dwelt safely, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. And Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses. Wow. 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots, and 12,000 horsemen. And those officers provided victual for King Solomon, and for all that came unto King Solomon's table, every man in his month. They lacked nothing. Barley also and straw for the horses, and dromedaries brought they unto the place where the officers were, every man according to his charge. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding, exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. Wow, he can do it. He can do it, but remember, you won't be like him, because he said there'll be never another that has after him like this. Okay? And Solomon's wisdom excelled in wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt, for he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Heman, and Chalcol, and Darda, the son of Mahal, and his fame was in all nations round about. And he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. Wow. Yeah. And he spake of trees, from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts, and of fowl, and of creeping things, and of fishes. And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon from all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. There it is. Solomon getting the lineage. He's son of David, became king after David. This is chapter 5 we're going into, and you can see how he just prospered in wisdom and knowledge, as God told him in the dream he would do. Therefore, everything else was prospering also, as you can see. The Lord was pleased with Solomon. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his, so this is chapter 5, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father. And Hiram was ever a lover of David. And Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, Thou knowest how that David my father could not build an house unto the name of the Lord his God, for the wars which were about him on every side, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God hath given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurrent, which is wonderful. That is a wonderful thing. Definitely now see where we get this soles under the soles of our feet, put our enemies. We just liken ourselves to these men in the Old Testament so much that it's just ridiculous. We don't want to operate in the new covenant of Christ, the eternal covenant. We don't want to operate in that. We want to operate in the old. But now the Lord my God hath given me rest on every side, so that there is not another adversary nor evil current. And behold, I purpose to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, Thy son, whom I will set upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build an house unto my name. Now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy sandals, and unto thee will I give hire for thy servants according to all that thou shalt appoint, for thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians. And it came to pass, when Hiram heard the words of Solomon, that he rejoiced greatly, and said, Blessed be the Lord this day, which hath given unto David a wise son over his great people. And Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have considered the things which thou sentest to me for, and I will do all thy desire concerning timber of cedar and centering timber of fir. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon unto the sea, and I will convey them by sea in floats unto the place that thou shalt appoint me, and I will cause them to be discharged there, and thou shalt receive them, and thou shalt accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. So Hiram gave Solomon cedar trees and fir trees according to all his desire, and Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food to his household. They made a trade. Okay, good deal. Nothing wrong with that. And 20 measures of pure oil Thus gave Solomon to Hiram year by year, and the Lord gave Solomon wisdom, as he promised him. And there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and they two made a league together. And King Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. And he sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month by courses. A month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months at home. And Adoniram was over the levy. And Solomon had 70,000 that bare burdens, and 70,000 hewers in the mountains, beside the chief of Solomon's officers, which were over the work, 3,300, and which ruled over the people that wrought in the work. And the king commanded, and they brought great stones, costly stones, and hew stones to lay the foundation of the house. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them and the stone squares. So they prepared timber and stones to build the house. Okay? Makes a league. Solomon gets more wisdom. God is very pleased, and he's getting this temple together for the Lord. That's what he's doing. All right, couple more here. We're moving on to part 2 in the next hour. And it came to pass in the 418th year of the children of Israel were come out to the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month Ziph, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of the Lord. And the house which King Solomon built for the Lord, the length thereof was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits. And the porch before the temple of the house, 20 cubits was the length thereof, according to the breadth of the house, and 10 cubits was the breadth of thereof before the house. And for the house he made windows of narrow lights, and against the wall of the house he built chambers round about against the walls of the house round about, both of the temple and of the oracle, and he made chambers round about. The nethermost chamber was 5 cubits broad, and the middle was 6 cubits broad, and the third was 7 cubits broad. For without the wall of the house he made narrowed rests around about, and the beams should not be fastened in the walls of the house. And the house, when it was building, was built of stone, made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe, nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building. The door for the middle chamber was in the right side of the house, and they went up with winding stairs into the middle chamber, and out of the middle into the third. So he built the house and finished it, and covered the house with beams and boards of cedar. And then he built chambers against all the house 5 cubits high, and they rested on the house with timber of cedar. And the word of the Lord came to Solomon, saying, concerning this house which thou art in building, if thou wilt walk in my statutes and execute my judgments and keep all my commandments to walk in them, then I will perform my word with thee, which I spake unto David thy father. And I will dwell among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel. So Solomon built the house and finished it. And he built the walls of the house within the boards of cedar, both the floor of the house and the walls of the ceiling, and he covered them on the inside wood, and covered the floor of the house with planks of fir. And he built 20 cubits on the sides of the house, both the floor and the walls with boards of cedar, even built them for it within, even for the oracle, even for the most holy place. And the house that is the temple before it was 40 cubits long, and the cedar of the house within was carved with knops and open flowers. All was clear, there was no stone seen. And the oracle he prepared in the house within, to set there the ark of the covenant of the Lord. And the oracle in the forepart was 20 cubits in length, and 20 cubits in breadth, and 20 cubits in the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and so covered the altar, which was of cedar. So Solomon overlaid the house within with pure gold, and he made a partition by the chains of gold before the oracle, and he overlaid it with gold. And the whole house he overlaid with gold until he had finished all the house. Also the whole altar that was by the oracle he overlaid with gold. And within the oracle he made 2 cherubims of olive tree, each 10 cubits high. And 5 cubits was the one wing of the cherubim, and 5 cubits the other wing of the cherubim, for from the uttermost part of the one wing unto the uttermost part of the other were 10 cubits. And the other cherubim was 10 cubits. Both the cherubims were of one measure and one size. The height of the one cherubim was 10 cubits, and so it was for the other cherubim. And he set the cherubims within the inner house, and they stretched forth the wings of the cherubim, so that the wing of the one cherubim touched the one wall, and the wing of the other cherubim touched the other wall, and the wings touched one another in the midst of the house. And he overlaid the cherubims with gold, and he carved all the walls of the house round about with carved figures of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers within and without. And the floor of the house he overlaid with gold within and without. And for the entering of the oracle he made doors of olive tree, and the lintel and side posts were a 5th part of the wall. The 2 doors also were of olive tree, and he carved upon them carvings of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold, and spread gold upon the cherubims upon the palm trees. So he made for the door of the temple posts of olive tree, and 4 part of the wall, and a 4th part of the wall. And the 2 doors were of fir tree. The 2 leaves of the one door were folding, and the 2 leaves of the other door were folding. And he carved thereon cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and covered them with gold fitted upon the carved work. And he built the inner court with 3 rows of hewed stone and a row of cedar beams. And in the 4th year was the foundation of the house of the Lord laid, in the month Ziph. This took a long time for him to do, of course, as you can see, in the 4th year. That's a long time. And in the 11th year, 7 years previous, 7 years after that, 11 years, 7 years after that of the 4th year will make 11. In the month of Bul, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all the parts thereof, and according to all the fashion of it, so was he 7 years in building it. Okay. So let's go. What else? This is 7. All right. But Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house. He built also the house of the forest of Lebanon. The length thereof was 100 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits, upon 4 rows of cedar pillars with cedar beams upon the pillars. Give me a moment here. And get some water here. All right. And it was covered with cedar above upon the beams, and lay it 45 pillars, 15 in a row. And there was windows in 3 rows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And all the doors and posts were square, and the windows and the light was against light in 3 ranks. And he made a porch of pillars. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth thereof 30 cubits, and the porch was before them, and the other pillars and the thick beam were before them. Then he made a porch for the throne where he might judge, even the porch of judgment, and it was covered with cedar from one side of the floor to the other. And his house where he dwelt had another court within the porch that was of the like work. Solomon made also an house for Pharaoh's daughter, his wife, whom he had taken to wife, like unto his porch. And all these were of costly stones, according to the measures of hewed stones, sawed with saws within and without, even from the foundation unto the coping, and so the outside toward the great court. And the foundation was costly stones, even great stones, stones of 10 cubits and stones of 8 cubits. And above were costly stones after the measures of hewed stones and cedars. And the great court round about was 3 rows of hewed stones and a row of cedar beams, both for the inner court and of the house of the Lord, and for the porch of the house. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre, I want to say. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all works in brass. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all his work. For he cast 2 pillars of brass of 18 cubits high apiece, and a line of 12 cubits did compass either of them about. And he made 2 chapiters of molten brass to set upon the tops of the pillars, and the height of the one chapiter was 5 cubits, and the height of the other chapiter was 5 cubits, and nets of checker work and wreaths of chain work for the chapiters which were upon the top of the pillars, 7 for the one chapiter and 7 for the other chapiter. And he made the pillars, the 2 rows round about upon the one network to cover the chapiters that were upon the top with pomegranates, and so did he for the other chapiter. And the chapiters that were upon the top of the pillars were of lily work in the porch 4 cubits. And the chapiters upon the 2 pillars had pomegranates above also, over against the belly, which was about the network, and the pomegranates were 200 in rows about upon the other chapiter. And he set up the pillars in the porch of the temple, and he set up the right pillar and called the name thereof, I want to say Jachin, and he set up the left pillar and called the name of thereof Boaz. And upon the top of the pillars was lily work, so was the work of the pillars finished. And he made a molten sea, 10 cubits from the one brim to the other. It was round all about, and his height was 5 cubits. And a line of 30 cubits did compass it round about. And under the brim of it round about there were knops compassing it, 10 in a cubit, compassing the sea round about. The knops were cast in 2 rows when it was cast. It stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, 3 looking toward the west, 3 looking toward the south, 3 looking toward the east, and the sea was set above upon them, and all their hinder parts were inward. And it was an handbreadth thick, and the brim thereof was wrought like the brim of a cup with flowers of lilies. It contained 2,000 baths. Wow. And he made 10 bases of brass. 4 cubits was the length of one base, and 4 cubits the breadth of thereof, and 3 cubits the height of it. And the work of the bases was on this manner. They had borders, and the borders were between the ledges. And on the borders that were between the ledges were lions, oxen, and cherubims. And upon the ledges there was a base above, and beneath the lions and oxen were certain additions made of thin work, and every base had 4 brazen wheels and plates of brass, and the 4 corners thereof had undersetters. Under the layer were undersetters molten at the side of every addition, and the mouth of it within the chapiter and above was a cubit, but the mouth thereof was round after the work of the base a cubit and an half, and also upon the mouth of it were gravings with their borders, 4 square, not round. And under the borders were 4 wheels, and the axletrees of the wheels were joined to the base, and the height of a wheel was a cubit and a half a cubit. And the work of the wheels was like the work of a chariot wheel. Their axletrees and their naves and their felloes and their spokes and were all molten. And there were 4 undersetters to the 4 corners of one base, and the undersetters were of the very base itself. And the top of the base was there a round compass of half a cubit high, and on the top of the base of the ledges thereof, and the borders thereof were the same. For on the plates of the ledges thereof, and on the borders thereof, he graved cherubims, lions, and palm trees, according to the proportion of every one, and additions round about. After this manner he made the 10 bases. All of them had 1 casting, 1 measure, and 1 size. Then made he 10 lavers of brass. 1 laver contained 40 baths, and every laver was 4 cubits, and upon every one of the 10 bases 1 laver. He put 5 bases on the right side of the house, and 5 on the left and left side of the house, and he set the sea on the right side of the house, eastward over against the south. And Hiram made the lavers and the shovels and the basins. So Hiram made an end of doing all the work that he made King Solomon for the house of the Lord. And 2 pillars, the 2 pillars and the 2 bowls of the chapiters were on the top of the 2 pillars. And the 2 networks cover the 2 bowls of the chapiters, which were upon the top of the pillars. And 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, even 2 rows of pomegranates for 1 network, to cover the 2 bowls of the chapiters that were upon the pillars. And the 10 bases and the 10 lavers on the bases, okay, and 1 sea and 1 sea and 12 oxen under the sea, and the pots and the shovels and the basins and all the vessels which Hiram made to King Solomon for the house of the Lord were of bright brass. In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them in the clay ground between Succoth and Zarthan. And Solomon left all the vessels unweighed, because they were exceeding many. Neither was the weight of the brass found out. And Solomon made all the vessels that pertained unto the house of the Lord, the altar of gold, the table of gold, whereupon the showbread was, and the candlesticks of pure gold, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left, before the oracle, with the flowers and the lamps and the tongs of gold, and the bowls, and the snuffers, and the basins, and the spoons, and the censers of pure gold, and the hinges of gold, both for the doors of the inner house, the most holy place, and for the doors of the house, to wit, of the temple. So was ended all the work that King Solomon made for the house of the Lord. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated, even the silver and the gold and the vessels, did he put among the treasures of the house of the Lord. Okay, that'll do it. That's going to do it for this 1 Kings part 2. That's 3 through 7. We're coming back in a few with part 3, 8 through 11. Yeah, I'm going to get that done. Then that's going to complete. These are just corrections that from the 1 Kings readings, studying that we're looking through and seeing what happened. Then we're going to jump into Chronicles. Yeah. So we're coming back with the correction posting studies for 1 Kings. We're going to do part 3 next. This is part 2. We'll do part 3. That's chapters 8 through 11 to continue on to see what happened here. What happened with Jody? Stop by. Good to see you, love. Good to see you. And so we're going to do that and see what happened in 8 and 11 to get that corrected for our study catalog here on Understanding the Bible Radio. We'll see you in a matter of minutes.
Please allow us to extend our deepest thanks, our humblest appreciation, our greatest gratitude for your fellowship here with us, sharing the letter of the gospel, the ancient definitions of Scripture. This is Understanding the Bible.